Maverick News presents The Rick Walker Show. Defrag your mind.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel. Hello, Maverick family. Thanks for coming back. Every day seems to get stranger. The news gets weirder. And I'm sitting here tonight wondering what the heck is really going on out there. Did you see that house explosion in Arlington, not far from the White House? It happened last night. Became aware of it here just after our transmission ended. Very, very weird. We'll take a look at it and try to make some sense out of something. Just bizarre. I just don't know. The mayor of Montreal collapsed suddenly today. That's weird. We'll show you the video. What else do we have for you tonight? The president of Harvard under pressure from a member of Congress to resign for not taking a hardline stance in support of Israel. The sixth rental car agency company in Europe has decided not to use Teslas anymore. We'll tell you why. Another heated exchange in the House of Commons in Canada today over housing. We'll bring you that. The issue of mass immigration rearing its head again. This time with Maxime Bernier making some statements on that. We'll show you what was going on there. So lots of news to cover. Lots going on tonight. So stay with me. We'll get to it all right here when we come back after this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Jingle bells. Trudeau smells. Biden laid an egg. Klaus Schwab's deal has no appeal. But tomorrow is a brand new day. Hey everyone. Have a Merry Maverick Christmas. And a magnificent New Year.
Okay, so I wanted to start with the house explosion, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's just, it'll be easier for me on the technical side if we start with the exchange in the House of Commons during question period, which is coming up right here. And hang on, here we go. Rock and roll. Oops, hang on. Wrong video. Hang on, he's coming. He's coming. I've got him. I've got him. I'll get him. Here we go. And let the exchange begin.
The honorable leader of the official opposition.
Housing hell. How are we going to get out of it? That will be the title of my common sense documentary. In fact, it is, and more than 4 million people have watched it on the X platform. It shows that the cost of housing has doubled. Canada has one of the worst markets in the world, with much more expensive homes than in the US. People are living in tents. Will the Prime Minister become the 40 million and first person to watch the documentary to understand how to put an end to this housing hell and help people find housing? The Right Honorable Prime Minister. The Conservative leader is asking the government to withdraw from the housing sector. But we will not repeat the mistakes that he made when he was housing minister under the Harper government. The Conservative plan would not enable enough houses to be built quickly, and it would create more useless red tape. The plan would also stop funding housing projects and would further tax affordable housing. The Conservative leader is focusing on his online popularity, but meanwhile, we will be making sure that everyone has a roof over their heads.
But, Mr. Speaker, people do not have roofs over their head. After 8 years of this Prime Minister, housing costs have doubled. Toronto's the worst housing bubble in the world, and Canada has the worst mortgage bubble in the entire OECD after 8 years of his policies. That's why nearly 4 million people on X alone have watched my groundbreaking and much acclaimed documentary, Housing Hell, How We Got Here and How We Will Get Out. Will the Prime Minister become the 4 millionth Canadian to watch this documentary so he can see a common sense plan to reverse the housing hell that he's caused?
The Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Canadians need our bold action to keep moving forward on the problem of housing affordability. Unlike the Conservative leader, we know that the federal government plays an essential role in leadership in housing. On this side, we're making historic investments in housing. We're linking public transit dollars to housing density, and we're working with cities to modernize and accelerate the way we build homes. While the Conservative leader focuses on clickbaits and views, we're focused on building homes for Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's funny, he released a video the very same day of him in a starter home pretending that he was a real estate agent. But in reality, everyone laughed because they know that he's doubled the housing cost.
Right.
He's delivered an economy where we have the fewest homes per capita of any country in the G7, even though we have the most land to build on. And Toronto is now the worst housing bubble in the world after 8 years of this Prime Minister. So that's why I'm putting partisanship aside and offering the Prime Minister and the Liberal caucus a private screening of my documentary. Will the Prime Minister put his ego aside and join with me personally to take in this documentary, Housing Hell, How We Got In, and How We'll Get Out of it?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The reality, Mr. Speaker, is the Conservative leader continues to call for the federal government to get out of the business of housing.
Right.
And we will not repeat the same mistakes he made when he was housing minister under Stephen Harper.
Right.
The Conservative leader's present plan won't build enough homes fast enough, doesn't reach enough cities, and creates unnecessary red tape. He'd also defund affordable housing projects and tax affordable rental construction even more. While the Conservative leader focuses on clickbait and views, we're going to focus on building Canadians more homes.
That's right.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Speaker, he did try to make a video. It was a total failure. His videos don't get clicks and his houses don't have bricks. After 8 years, that's why housing costs have doubled. He shouldn't have to read his entire answer. I'm offering to inform him. If he would just take 15 minutes away from his photo ops, he can watch my brilliant documentary on X or YouTube with a common sense plan to require cities permit 15% more homes, give them bonuses if they exceed the target, require transit around every new federally funded, require housing around every federally funded transit station, and sell off 6,000 buildings. This is common sense. Let's bring it home.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader's plan is to pick fights with municipalities, to create more red tape, and to withdraw funding for affordable housing and affordable apartments. That's not a plan to build more housing, but he has demonstrated that he's extremely satisfied with his ability to spread misinformation and disinformation online, which, yes, I will admit, he's very good at. On this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we're focused on delivering solutions for Canadians. We're focused on building more housing for Canadians, not focused on self-aggrandizement like the Leader of the Opposition.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he is the king of self-aggrandizement, as evidenced by the fact that he's mocking my much-acclaimed documentary when he claims he hasn't even watched it. How would he know about the common sense solutions if he hasn't had the attention span to sit there for 15 minutes on YouTube or X and watch it, Mr. Speaker? We'll even try to get it on TikTok so that he can find it. Mr. Speaker, it includes a common sense plan to cut bureaucracy and taxes so that we can bring it home.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when I came into question period today, I didn't think it'd be I'd be hearing an infomercial for how great Pierre Poilievre have social media skills. Sorry, the leader.
We'll back up. I mean, the Honourable Prime Minister knows he's not supposed to use the names of members of Parliament. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I apologize. I didn't think Canadians were going to be hearing an infomercial for the Leader of the Opposition's YouTube page. The reality, Mr. Speaker, is Canadians deserve a government focused on delivering housing for them. That is exactly what we are doing with historic deals with cities right across the country, with measures to build more housing quickly. We are concretely solving that while he's talking to himself online.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, as we continue to listen to this review of amateur film, well, meanwhile, the media is in crisis. Our journalism is getting weaker. Arts and culture, too. Our rural regions, French, they're all under pressure. Will the Prime Minister recognize that there is no worse time to cut 800 positions at Radio-Canada CBC? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we've been very concerned for years about what's happening in our media, arts, and culture. That's why our government has taken concrete measures to support media throughout the country, to invest in local journalism, to defend journalists and their essential work to our democracy, to defend them from, for example, the web giants. We are very pleased to say that we have an agreement with Google under C-18. We will keep being there to support journalists throughout the country, especially local journalists who play a key role in our democracy. The Honourable Member, well, very clearly, Mr. Speaker, that is just not enough. The government is getting $100 million from Google. We'd really like to see that agreement, actually, but that is good news. Private media, however, had already cut more than $100 million in their operations. Not only does the Radio-Canada CBC want to get money out of that fund, but it also wants to cut French language and regional local services. And it also wants to give itself bonuses. Will the Prime Minister recognize that CBC needs to be held accountable to the government? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we will always support CBC, Radio-Canada, and its services to local communities throughout the country. One of the first measures we took as a government was to cancel the Harper government's cuts to our public broadcaster. We supported local journalism and media, and that's very important during this difficult time. That's why we brought in Bill C-18. At a time when, unfortunately, the leader of the opposition is not doing anything about this issue, we will continue to support local media and journalists in Canada.
East.
These out-of-touch Liberals have let the housing crisis get so bad that in Halifax this winter, a man died alone in a tent. The average rent in Halifax is now over $2,000 a month. Leaving it up to big developers won't bring down rents. People are being rental evicted. We need real action, not just words. The Liberals are running around announcing and re-announcing existing funding that will not deliver homes for another 4 to 7 years. Will the Prime Minister take immediate action to secure existing empty buildings to get people off the streets this winter?
Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are continuing to reach out and work with communities, with municipalities, and with provinces right across the country to deliver. We've been announcing projects completed that we started years ago. We're announcing projects that are starting today that will be completed in the coming years. We understand the efforts involved in solving this housing crisis. It requires us all to roll up our sleeves, which is why we put forward $4 billion in a housing accelerator to make sure that municipalities could build more homes. We're putting forward $15 billion to accelerate the construction of rental units. We're going to continue to be there for low-income and homeless people as well.
The Honourable Member for Cowichan, Malahat, Langford.
Mr. Speaker, food prices aren't going down. A record number of Canadians are turning to food banks for their meals. Before the doors open at Bridges to Hope Food Bank in St. John's, there's already a lineup waiting to collect food hampers. Meanwhile, big grocers like Sobeys, who was here yesterday, are seeing heaps of excess profit, all while offering a nickel to its employees. The Liberals are failing to lower food prices. When are they going to crack down on the corporate greed that is driving Canadians to food banks?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, more competition means lower prices, more choice, and more innovative products and services for Canadians. Our affordability legislation will empower the Competition Bureau to hold grocers accountable and prioritize consumers' interests. The Fall Economic Statement proposes further amendments to the Competition Act to crack down on predatory pricing, to better respond to anti-competitive mergers, and more. We are ensuring that Canadians have more competitive options, and we're limiting excess profits by corporations at the expense of Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Mr. Speaker, we just heard shocking testimony at the Human Resources Committee from the CEO of the Central Okanagan Food Bank. He says projections are another 100% increase in food bank demand in the next 3 to 4 months due to inflation. He expressed how donors and volunteers are now clients. Liberal inflationary spending and carbon tax are adding to the cost of food. After 8 years, this NDP Liberal government is just not worth the cost. Will the Prime Minister take the tax off of farmers, families, and First Nations? Finally.
The Honourable Minister of Families.
Mr. Speaker, we will continue to invest in strengthening social security programs like Old Age Security, Canada Pension Plan, and support for families like the Canada Child Benefit.
Okay, so a lot of ground covered there, and serious issues: housing again, inflation again, food prices. It's becoming repetitive day in, day out, honestly. But those are the issues of the day, of our time right now. And as we move into Christmas, it isn't really clear how some people are going to be able to afford to buy a Christmas dinner. Put a turkey on the table. All this again while, we've got these well-heeled jet setters flying off to Dubai to combat climate change while relaxing in the desert sun and visiting the various tourist attractions. And here's another clip with Kevin O'Leary, who just happened to be at COP28, social media influencer, sometimes politician. Seems to be very much enamored with Dubai and the UAE, a playground for the rich and famous. He's very focused on Dubai as investment opportunities present themselves there, in cryptocurrency, in the M2 exchange. And here he is, Kevin O'Leary again. Listen to this.
They announced the M2 exchange, the world's largest digital currency exchange, going public this week there. Everybody was there watching that thing. Number two, they announced they're now the third in the world in the development of AI technology, and with very accommodative policy. Here we debate in Congress whether we should do AI or not. Meanwhile, they're catching up to number three.
Who's they?
The government of the United Arab Emirates, specifically Abu
really?
Dhabi. They announced.
Isn't that interesting? I think so. So M2, direct competitor to Binance, which I think is the biggest cryptocurrency exchange in the world, based in China. M2 based in the Middle East. Direct competitor to Binance. Binance under a lot of pressure and now regulatory scrutiny in a lot of jurisdictions, including in areas in Canada and the US, coming under fire. But Kevin O'Leary, very focused on cryptocurrencies. I've also noticed an increasing level of interest, or maybe it's just me becoming more aware of it, of freedom groups focusing on cryptocurrencies. And I think there are some dots to connect right there. I'm going to be looking at that more in the days ahead as well. So stay tuned for more on that front. And Kevin O'Leary down there, as we showed you last night, partaking in medical tourism. He went to a sports and health spa or clinic, I guess. He's into longevity treatments and was there for stem cell therapy, which is in itself somewhat controversial, possibly even risky in the eyes of some. There's a variety of different therapies out there, ranging in price from $5,000 to $50,000 a pop. And there he was, making I'll call it a promotional video for this spa. So my guess is, well, I won't speculate as to what the deal was there. But obviously, as a social media influencer, he was helping promote that clinic online while they were giving him the treatment. Those kinds of treatments not entirely approved, as the doctor in that video said last night. They let them do things there in Dubai that they can't do just about anywhere else in the world. Not exactly what those things are in whole, but I found the story pretty interesting. And it just leads me back to this with Yuval Noah Harari. He's predicting that rapid advances in computer technology will make humans redundant and will create a massive class of useless people who will need to be kept happy with drugs and computer games. At least that's the way some people are interpreting what he has to say. Let me just bring this back up. This is the new reality, I guess. Is this, I don't know if it's a new normal. Seems pretty abnormal. But I'll just rerun this clip here to remind you of where some people want to take the world. Yuval Noah Harari, futurist.
In the book, if I understand it correctly, you argue that actually the amazing breakthrough that we are experiencing right now not only will potentially make our life better, but they will create, and I quote you, new classes and new class struggles, just as the Industrial Revolution did. Can you elaborate for us?
Yes, in the Industrial Revolution, we saw the creation of a new class of the urban proletariat. And much of the political and social history of the last 200 years involved what to do with this class and the new problems and opportunities. Now we see the creation of a new massive class of useless people. As computers become better and better in more and more fields, there is a distinct possibility that computers will outperform us in most tasks and will make humans redundant. And then the big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games.
Well, that's interesting. Oh, jeez. Are we there yet? Drugs and computer games? I would argue that maybe that is the case. Might truly be the case. And we also heard that in the House of Commons during that heated exchange, concerns about the CBC and funding levels. My dog is going crazy upstairs in the building here. Sorry, folks, if you're listening to my dog bark. I don't know what his deal is. Very distracting. However, while the Bloc Québécois, separatist party in Quebec, sits there in the House of Commons and worries about the CBC and funding to the CBC. Oh my goodness, they announced yesterday they're cutting another 600 jobs, and they won't fill an additional 200 when they're vacated, for a total of 800 more jobs lost. Well, not everyone is crying. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation has a petition available online that thousands of people are signing to defund the CBC. Here it is right here. Will you sign the petition, defund the CBC, and end the media bailout? Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, it says here, the CBC costs taxpayers more than $1 billion per year, and the federal government is giving media organizations a $600 million bailout. Taxpayers shouldn't be forced to fund the CBC and other media organizations. We should be able to choose which organization we want to support with our own money. We, the undersigned, call on the federal government to defund the CBC and end its media bailout. So there's the petition. You can sign that online at taxpayer.com/petitions, and you'll find the online petition right there if you are interested in checking that out. And did you see that exploding house in Arlington? Wow, that was something else. Don't go away. We'll show it to you when we come back.
the sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are Mavericks, we are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Fear not the storm, for truth is on our side. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's take a look at that house explosion. Weird stuff. Weirder, weirder, weirder. Every day, things seem to get weirder. You want weird? We got weird. Here's weird. Cops, Arlington, executing a search warrant, they say, and this is what happens. Uh-huh. Right.
Get the fuck out of here.
Oh. Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. Okay. So they go there to execute a search warrant. That's what happens. So details were kind of sketchy last night. Now police, they held a news conference. They say there was a man in the house. He's presumed dead. And they say that he may have actually fired shots at officers from this duplex before the house exploded. They've identified the subject as a 56-year-old man named James Y-O-O. He's the owner of that house. So they were called there around 4:45 p.m. yesterday for reports of shots fired. Yu is believed to have fired a flare gun inside the home over 30 times. So authorities say that they tried to engage with him, but were unsuccessful. It prompted a search warrant to secure weapons at the residence, according to officials. Then, when the authorities tried to enter the home and execute that warrant, multiple gunshots were fired from inside the home. And then around 8:30 p.m., the duplex exploded, as you saw there. Now, police are saying that Yu was inside the home at the time of the explosion, and they believe he is dead. Human remains were found at the scene, and the medical examiner is taking steps now, going through the motions, identifying the individual whose body has been recovered. 3 officers there received minor injuries, but no one went to the hospital. No other serious injuries reported. In fact, police say that they evacuated people from homes in the surrounding area. And by doing that, they believe they probably saved people from serious injury or maybe death, may have saved lives as a result. About 10 or 12 other homes in the neighborhood were damaged as a result of that massive explosion. Police are saying there's no ongoing threat to the community, no outstanding suspects related to the incident, adding the other residents of Yu's duplex were evacuated before the explosion. So police are also saying that they do not have evidence that anyone else was in the duplex at the time of the explosion, but can't rule out the possibility. So they're still sifting through the rubble. Let me just show you some of the aftermath images. This is what the scene looks like now. This is what we have for you tonight. Holy smokes. Not much left of the house. I also know that firefighters who were also on the scene turned off the natural gas to the building prior to the explosion. During the news conference today, officials said that they were taking all steps necessary, planning for the worst and hoping for the best. As you can see, there's a still image of that. This is what it looked like with the area blocked off. And you see, this is, I mean, I know there's a lot of distrust of police, okay? But I will say this. You may recall during all of the wildfires, the people were upset that the cops and firefighters, that they were blocking off roads to some areas in some places where wildfires were taking place. I submit to you that that is for public safety, and they do have every legal right to block off access to roads. And as you've seen in this case, they told people to get out, and the people listened. And yes, they probably saved lives as a result. If you're obstinate, if you're stubborn as heck, and you have police come along and they tell you, you better get out of here, get over behind that line over there. We're blocking this area off for your safety. If there's a fire in your neighborhood or some other public emergency, you would probably be wise to listen to them. Regardless of the reasons, chances are there's a real threat. There's probably a real threat. So you would be wise to listen to them and get out of there and get to some place further away from the scene, whatever the incident might be. In this particular case last night, yeah, it looks like some lives were saved because the cops evacuated people from the area. Now, some people might sit there and say, oh, yeah, well, see, that just shows you that they knew this was going to happen. Well, you can look at it in any kind of conspiratorial way you want. But I would submit to you that it's probably more a matter of routine. Although I don't know about the turning off of the gas and executing a search warrant like that. They must have had some more reasons, some additional reasons why they were worried about this guy. But obviously, they took the right precautions because that house blew, and it looks like other people may have been killed. Here's a clip from today's news conference. Here we go. Just a short one.
Areas within the residence where the suspect was believed to be hiding. The purpose of this type of a deployment is to cause irritation in hopes of compelling the suspect to surrender. Based on the preliminary investigation of this incident, we believe that the resident of the home, James Yu, 56, of Arlington, is the involved suspect. The Arlington County Police Department does not have prior documented interactions with the suspect at this address other than 2 calls for service for loud noise over the past couple years. We are aware of concerning social media posts allegedly made by the suspect, and these will be reviewed as part of the ongoing criminal investigation. The suspect was inside the residence at the time of the explosion, and he is presumed at this point to be deceased.
Nope.
Human remains have been located at the scene, and the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner will work to positively identify the individual and determine the cause and manner of death.
Okay, so I just think the whole thing is really weird. And it's just more weirdness after, especially after, and I'm not trying to read more into this than is there, but what did we just see at the Rainbow Bridge in Niagara Falls? The high-priced Bentley with that couple inside, traveling at over 100 miles per hour. This is about a week ago. Heads into the border crossing toward Canada, and at a high rate of speed like that, crashes and blows up. And this was the reporting immediately after, where they were saying that some media outlets saying that this was an act of terrorism, and they were citing sources, official sources in the beginning, and then later the story changed to, no, this isn't terrorism, nothing to see here. This was one of the early reports coming to us that was issued by Fox News.
Alexis McAdams is reporting that according to high-level police sources, the explosion was an attempted terrorist attack. This is being looked at as an act of terrorism. Certainly would seem to bring a lot of credence to what the FBI director was saying in hearings on Capitol Hill recently.
Yeah, John, that's exactly what FBI Director Christopher Wray testified before the House just last week, saying because of the unrest in the Middle East, that the FBI was monitoring a variety of possibilities, that there could be a radical Islamic terrorist attack right here in the United States, including potentially covered by Hamas.
Have here the fact that this was likely a car bomb, the fact that they were going from the U.S. or trying to go from the U.S. into Canada. Does that speak to you and your background expertise about what types of terror organizations might be interested in conducting something like this?
It's very difficult at this point to kind of, come to any of those assumptions. Certainly, we know that the FBI Director, Wray, just, in the past few days has reiterated concerns about potential terrorist activities, certainly emanating from the war with Gaza. And
here's a question for you, Bill. And that is, these likely wouldn't have been people who came into the United States yesterday. I mean, it's easy enough to procure a vehicle, but you've got to procure explosives as well. Then you've got to have the know-how to put those together into a vehicle. Now, again, maybe this vehicle exploded accidentally, which would indicate potentially a level of expertise with explosives that was less than competent, or maybe they just thought that they were going to get caught and decided to pull the trigger on it. But this is something that would have required some measure of planning.
So that's what they were saying. Then later the story changes and no, nothing to see here, not terrorism at all. And we saw that the car was blown to bits. That was the whole thing. Very, very strange. I also thought it was kind of odd that it was, maybe I'm reading too much into it. I didn't even know what to read into it, but it just seemed odd that it was like a Bentley. You know what? This is like taking your Rolls Royce on a high-speed ride to hell. And then it blows up at the border. That whole thing was weird. Now this house blows up, and what do we know about this guy, this James Yu? Well, we know that he appears to have been very paranoid. Apparently, there are reports that he fired more than 30 flares inside the house. He had a LinkedIn account, and it contained a string of bizarre ramblings, including a recent post from earlier this month, back on December 1st, that claimed his neighbors were spies who wanted to carry out his assassination. He also called his ex-wife a witch. I don't know if he meant that literally or in a less literal way. Posted a whole bunch of posts that were anti-American. So his LinkedIn profile, I think it's been taken down now, described him as the former head of information and physical security for an international telecommunications company. His name has now officially been released by police in Arlington County. They say he is the owner of that home. So we know that you had previously communicated with the FBI through phone calls, online tips, and letters. The FBI Assistant Director for Washington, David Sundberg, said that he would characterize these communications as primarily complaints about alleged frauds that he believed were being perpetrated against him. So all this information coming out from the authorities tonight. So he had children, Jamie, Rosemary, and Lance. And they said that their two children are spies and act as buffers, collecting my information and then delivering to their handlers. This being said about fellow residents of North Burlington Street. What else do I have here? He claimed that his neighbors, I guess, were working with the witch, I guess that must be his wife, and the alien, plotting a surprise attack against him on December 7th, the anniversary of the Pearl Harbor attack. So these posts to his ex-wife being a witch and anti-U.S. slogans, including F America, were all very alarming. The authorities became aware of these, of course. No wonder they took extra precautions as they approached the home. He said in his posts, "This is how white people operate and have the luxury of outnumbering all other races by almost 7-1 in America," spelling it Merica. The world is a very racist place, folks, in case you haven't noticed, all the way around. Until recently, I didn't realize how incredibly racist it is, to be quite honest. I knew it was out there, but I thought we were sort of moving beyond all of that. Apparently, I was wrong. So back in 2018, he launched a case in New York against his family members, including his ex-wife, Stephanie, and the hospital, Rochester General Hospital, in his community for allegedly detaining him against his will. Maybe for something going on up here in his noggin. But the suit was thrown out. The judges hearing the case dismissed it as being frivolous. Wow. And in their decision at that time, they said the court has carefully reviewed each page of the plaintiff's submissions. Plaintiff's complaint consists of delusional sounding allegations intermixed with other statements that seem more factual. You know, this also brings to mind a few other things. There's that guy who went to the amusement park in Colorado, obviously triggered by something. He was heavily armed, wearing like combat type gear, went into a washroom, committed suicide after painting on the wall. What was it he painted? I do not want to kill, or something like that. That's not exactly correct, but you'd have to look it up. Obviously tormented. But this guy here, again, paranoid. Oh, also there was that incident with the guy in the plane, the pilot, who was sort of off duty, but was still in the cockpit with the other flight crew, and then reached over and pulled the levers to shut down the engines in the plane, trying to crash the plane because he thought he was in a dream and wanted to wake up. This after saying that he had consumed magic mushrooms the day before, I believe, and it still may have been having some sort of effect on him psychologically, mentally, so that he was hallucinating. So the authorities said that the plaintiff believes, or the court went on actually in that court case, it said the plaintiff believed that he is the victim of a conspiracy against him by his sister, his ex-wife, and and others, including RGH, the hospital. Plaintiff believes, for example, that his sister, ex-wife, and RGH conspired to prevent him from obtaining an attorney. He blew that house to bits, folks. I do not know if things can get any stranger. Dismissing his complaint, the judges said that Yu apparently believes there is a connection between the alleged conspiracy, the terrorism on September 11th, and the current investigation into the 2016 presidential election by special counsel Robert Mueller. This is exactly what I've been saying for some time. There is a giant psyop going on, folks. Are you cluing in? You had made attempts to contact Mueller directly. The court documents show to warn him of those so-called links. Wow. So his wife, I guess, had filed for divorce. She won a court ruling, rubber stamping their split. And Yu was told to pay her a sum of $80,000 and was told that he had to buy her out of her share of their now blown up home to the tune of 150 grand. So this guy, very upset. His wife left him. They split. Now he's got to pay her all this money. He's convinced, because of all the stuff that's been plugged into his noggin, that there's a giant conspiracy against him. It's all, and he believes it's all tied together with the election fraud thing, and then this, the 9/11 thing. Here in this chair tonight, this guy's a victim. He is a victim. Like these other guys. These weird things going on. There's something really, really weird going on. I don't think these things are random. I don't think they are isolated. I think they are all connected. I think that there's not a whole lot of disconnect between this and even the guy that Adrian Espuro, who was caught with weapons at that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. campaign event, suspected of going there to maybe commit an assassination. That was the concern there. And then as we dug into that, when Lori got into the depths of that, she discovered a lot of kind of weird stuff affecting that guy's brain. And then when we showed you those videos of him, a lot of the stuff that he was talking about, very much in the same vein as what this guy is talking about. These psyops are being tailored to specific groups and even individuals. Very similar narratives, very similar storylines, very similar things designed to get people messed up in the head, but tailored to a specific demographic and then even to an individual. This guy was triggered. And he was desperate. He was isolated, feeling alone, and feeling targeted, feeling like, victimized and desperate, and left to feel like things were resting on his shoulders, like he had to save things, I guess. Now, obviously, this could have killed a lot of people. This is a bad thing all the way around. But I think, just reading this, it's too similar to not be related. This is a similar thing that runs like it's a thread that just runs through all of these things that is there's a commonality there. Oh, man. So this is an investigation that is still ongoing. The authorities say that their investigation is going to be extensive and time-consuming. They say there is no ongoing threat to the community. I'm not so sure. They're still sifting through the rubble. Just look at each of these incidents that we've gone through. Like, I can't say for sure what is going on, but I can certainly point out the similarities, the commonalities between these things, the things that connect them all. They're screwing with people's minds. They're screwing with you. They're screwing with me. They're screwing with everybody. And some people who are the most vulnerable, they're sucking them right down into different kinds of rabbit holes on purpose. Don't think that just because that guy's lying to you, that guy over there is telling you the truth. Some of these people have very, very sinister goals. They're hurting people. They're hurting people. This is cruel what they're doing. Now, I can't sit here tonight and unequivocally prove what I'm saying with regard to this specific case or any of these cases and say this is exactly what's going on. It would be virtually impossible for me to do that. But it is very obvious. You can see the similarities. I mean, the exact same wording in what they're making references to in almost each of these cases. Be careful. Everybody needs to be really careful right now. What you're watching online, what you're consuming, things that you're thinking are true. People are sit there and tell you that they're telling you the truth. They disarm you at the beginning of their narratives. They discredit others and say they're lying to you. And then therefore, whatever I'm telling you must be the truth. Be careful. You see, it can lead, just saying, it can really damage some people. You need to be aware. That's why I'm telling you tonight, everybody, please as you're consuming your social media, try and keep your head up above so that you don't drown in an ocean of weirdness.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are Mavericks. We are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
And that seems to be the ongoing question, right? What is the truth? Who's telling you the truth? I'm trying to get you closer to the truth. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have the absolute truth on this or the absolute truth on that. I'm just doing my best, like everyone else, to cut through the propaganda and the information warfare and the psyops, trying to make sense of everything and trying to stay grounded. And doing that by honestly going into some pretty dangerous psychological territory from time to time to understand why some people are thinking the way that they are thinking. And even in the last couple of days, I've had people sending me videos and links to things that I know are very sophisticated psyops, propaganda. Last night, we talked about the Atlantic magazine being triggered by Trump. They've devoted an entire issue to Donald Trump and talking about why, if he's reelected, it will be much, much worse the second time around. Right? Which actually raises a question for me, because there are some out there who believe Donald Trump is still the president of the United States. And I understand the thought process behind that. But here's a question. The Constitution clearly states that the president is limited to 2 terms. Or at least the law is, right? So if he's still the president, how is it that he's going to run for president and re-election, even though he's been interrupted in between? If you have an answer to that, let me know. I'm going to check the comments right now. There's a question. If Donald Trump, as some people believe, is still the president, how could it be that he can run for re-election? If he got elected again, he wouldn't be able to serve because he's still the president. Doesn't make sense. There are a bunch of things like that that don't make sense. And some people have been pointing to executive orders on government, what appear to be government websites with .gov, .gov domain extensions. I'm looking into some of those documents. That's taking me down some rabbit holes. Some of the stuff's pretty difficult to dispute. Pretty powerful arguments, especially when there are documents on a .gov website. Don't know. The thing is, Then there's simplistic things, just very obvious things right in front of us. Even if, now here's another scenario, even if Donald Trump, let's say he did win the last election, just for the sake of argument here, and Biden's is not really the president technically, but he's in the White House and he's performing the functions of the government, and he has a whole administration there. So does it matter at that point if the government in the office was confirmed by the Electoral College in the end, regardless of what the votes are? He's actually there performing and is effectively in charge. So it doesn't really matter in a de facto way whether he is or he isn't. The reality is that he's in charge because he has control, even if it was a coup. And this is just theoretical, okay? So don't ban me, Facebook, YouTube. I'm just having a conversation with myself and trying to prompt some discussion here and thought with others. But then, see, it doesn't really matter because he's doesn't have the authority. He doesn't have the power. Even if technically he does, he doesn't have the power because Biden has the power. Then there are some who say that he's just the commander in chief. That to me makes no sense either. And why would that not make sense to me? Because there was an actual ceremony and Biden was confirmed in writing with a signature that he's the commander in chief. So which is true? Two truths or one lie and one truth? Or are both things true? And are we in conflict? And then you've got this continuity of government thing that's out there. I'll tell you this, it's enough to drive people crazy. You combine that with a whole bunch of social media postings, some other twisted information, throw in some conspiracy and some lies and target somebody with very specific information. You could drive someone totally nuts just by putting stuff in front of them, even on social media. Combine that with, well, what did we hear earlier, right? From Yuval Noah Harari. Keep them happy or content, preoccupied with drugs and video games. The video game is social media. And you give them some drugs and you make them malleable. You make us all malleable, moldable. Be careful. Be careful. You know, we all think we're making personal choices, that we have free will, right? In the things that we watch online and the way we absorb information, the way we think critically. The reality is with these algorithms, with the ability of governments to literally, what they could do is they can put videos, a specific video in your feed as something, as an option for you to click on. For you personally, just for one person. These intelligence agencies could continually put an option for a video in front of someone and not force you to watch it, just wait for you to choose it. Just keep putting it in the list of options for you until eventually, click, you got it. They just keep offering it to you, and then you pick it, and then you watch whatever it is that they want you to watch. You combine that with this incredibly powerful medium, specific kinds of repetitive psychological marketing / manipulation, and then they could literally, I would say, hypnotize the hell out of you and me or someone and get someone to do something or drive them so nuts that they would blow up their house. How depressed have you been over the past 3 years? How upset? How angry? You think that You're alone. You're not. Me too. We've all been extremely emotional. People who are extremely emotional don't think straight, and they're much more easily manipulated. My God, think about it. We're all so vulnerable, and we've been so isolated. And yeah, I see that Bernadette is saying not alone. Yeah. That's the good thing about this is we are here together. We do have each other. And if we're at least aware that this is the kind of stuff going on, just keep in mind the next time you are feeling angry, alone, threatened, like there's no hope, that there's nothing you can do, but you feel like you have to do something to fight back. Step back, stay calm, take a deep breath. Never as bad as they make it out to be. Not if you don't let it be that bad. You do have control over you. Step back. You get to the point where you want to get angry and maybe even violent. Just throttle it back, man. Because I'm telling you, this stuff that we're all consuming, this steady diet of craziness, day in, day out, it's not healthy. And I don't think I don't even think it's an accurate representation or giving us a proper perspective of what the world is really like, because all this darkness online all the time and people spreading these negative messages constantly. And you hear a lot of negative stuff on this program too, because we're covering the news and there's a lot of darkness out there. But when I'm out in my neighborhood, when I go down the street and I run into my neighbors, it's not like that at all. It's not that bad. You can go out and get into hot, heated areas if you want to, and go out to protests and blah, blah, blah. But the world overall around here is still not on fire. And there is hope, and we can get to a better place. And I'm just saying, folks, just be aware that anybody sitting there telling you that they're the ones telling you the truth, and the other side's telling you the lie. Nah. Just keep your head screwed on straight. Think for yourself. And if you are getting angry, step back. Think about who it is that's getting you jacked up and angry. And then ask yourself, are they really looking out for me? Are they really looking out for my country, for my community? Do they really want to make this place better? Or are they just one of these people who want to burn it all down? And we don't really need to. We can just keep working on the problems, right? Making things better. Coaching Little League, or helping out at the food bank, or just doing a good deed for somebody, giving somebody a boost when their car battery goes dead, saying some kind words to some people, shaking somebody's hand, saying thank you, or I love you. Let go of the hate. Let go of the anger. Let go of the fear. If we could all just do that, and that might sound very utopian, but it really is kind of that simple, you know. Just let the other guys live and be tolerant. Got to get back there. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Because all we got to do, like Choosy says, is exile the Knights of Malta.
Exile. The Knights of Malta. Maverick News. Join us. The world is watching.
See, we don't want to get violent. We just want to exile the bad dudes. And they're out there, man. And they are negative, and they're the ones spreading all the negativity. They're the ones we showed you at the UN when they were addressing the UN the other day. How they're, so super woke and engaging in so much virtue signaling and so disingenuous. We will expose them all and exile those Knights of Malta so that people can have free speech, free will, and the freedom to vote for anybody they darn well choose for, good or bad. Even Kelsey Grammer, he got into some hot water, almost, kind of, because he says he's going to vote for Trump. He was doing an interview. Check this out. Kelsey Grammer voices loyalty to Donald Trump as his PR firm shuts down an R4 interview. Says here that he still supports Donald Trump and will back him again in 2024. The Frasier star, who has always been a proud Republican, appeared on BBC Radio's Fours Today program and was happy to talk about politics. This is on Yahoo News. But it says that the interview was shut down by the public relations team from Paramount Plus UK. Justin Webb asked Grammer if he was still a Trump supporter, to which he replied, "I am, and I'll let that be the end of it." So then Webb revealed on the morning show, I have to say, actually, Kelsey Grammer himself was perfectly happy to go on talking about it. The Paramount Plus PR people less happy that he talked about it at some length. So they decided we'd had plenty of time for our interview and brought it to an end. But I should stress, it says here in quotation marks, that he was perfectly happy to talk about why he supports Donald Trump and still does in the forthcoming election. So politics and entertainment doesn't mix unless you're a Democrat or a lefty. And it just shows you again why they are so afraid of Trump. And that's really kind of what I was leading up to earlier when I was making reference to the Atlantic magazine devoting their entire current edition to a warning about Donald Trump and why a second term with Trump would be so much worse than the first one. And it is going to be a more extreme time. You can hear it in the rhetoric coming from Trump directly. He's shifted or pivoted his messaging again back to something closer to what it was during his original election run, when he got elected in 2016, especially when he's speaking about the border and immigration. But he's taking an even harder line this time, I think. I did hear very similar rhetoric back in 2016, but now I heard in this last speech that he gave in Iowa that we ran here on the Maverick News channel. What was it? Saturday night? I think it was Saturday. He says deportations are coming. So if he's elected, he said in the speech that the people who've come to the United States illegally will be deported. That means rounding them up and sending them out of the country, back to whatever country I guess they came from. That's millions of people. If that's true, if he really does that, that would be a huge operation, extremely controversial. You want to talk about protests in the streets? Whoa. But if Trump is reelected, this would be his last term because you're only allowed to, I think it's, yeah, he only gets one more term. So couldn't run again. So he wouldn't be like a lame duck in that sense because he wouldn't be worried about doing whatever he needs to do to remain popular in order to be reelected for a second term. He would just do whatever he wants to do, potentially. Do whatever he feels is right, I guess. And in the eyes of some, that might be very wrong. Like the people at the Atlantic magazine and the people in his PR firm who clearly are also afraid of Trump or any association with Trump. But we're seeing so much controversy surrounding immigration, especially right now with everything going on in Israel, Palestine, the war, Ukraine. Mass deportations. In Canada, it's Maxime Bernier who again is sounding the alarm on mass immigration. He sent out mass email within the last few days, which I've become aware of, talking about mass immigration again. There was also a big billboard campaign going on where the PPC, the People's Party of Canada, the populist party in Canada, is saying that the party was right back in 2019, and they're even more right now. It says, stop mass immigration on these billboards. And this is the message that really has been coming from Maxime Bernier, the People's Party of Canada, the populist movement in Canada, and honestly, the United States as well. But this is his messaging, and it has not deviated. This is not a brand new post that I'm going to show you here, but this is Maxime Bernier from some months back, delivering exactly the same message that he's been delivering for years on mass immigration. Here he is.
Did you know that the Trudeau government has confirmed that the annual target for permanent immigrants will increase by tens of thousands of immigrants over the next 2 years and will reach a record level of 500,000 per year starting in 2025? And that's without counting the number of foreign workers, international students, and refugees, which will also increase. Canada opened its doors to more than 1 million newcomers last year. That represents the entire population of provinces like Nova Scotia or Saskatchewan. It is more than any Western country per capita. Mass immigration is destroying our economy, reducing our standard of living, and making the housing market unaffordable. It's increasing pressure on our dysfunctional healthcare system and worsening the infrastructure deficit. Mass immigration and extreme multiculturalism are undermining our social cohesion and tradition of peaceful coexistence. It's rapidly changing the cultural character and social fabric of our country and transforming Canadian society into something unrecognizable. Instead of putting an end to mass immigration and proposing a responsible immigration policy, the Trudeau's Liberals, with the support of Poilievre's Conservative, are using mass immigration as a political tool to buy votes among immigrant communities. They are literally destroying our country. It's time to support the only party that say no to mass immigration, the People's Party of Canada.
There's a lot of truth, I think, in that the politicians absolutely do cozy up to specific groups in order to get votes by promising to bring in more immigrants from specific countries. In other words, you support our party, our candidates, you support us, and we'll bring more people from your country here. We've seen exactly that right out in the open, talking about it, politicians. And that in itself, I think, is the immigration equivalent of lobbying. You want to know why or how some of this corruption is going on? You can start right there. And then figure out what kind of backroom deals are being made. There's a lot at stake. There's everything at stake. And I think it's been going on for a long time, which is why our Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, is trying to sell us this message, which is that in her mind, even though we have a giant housing crisis and our economy is under stress and we're having trouble meeting our obligations on our social program commitments, or her government's social program commitments across the country, she's saying that it's a great thing to bring in massive numbers of new immigrants every year because it's fantastic for the economy. This is the messaging. This is what she's saying.
As finance minister, I see as a huge advantage for Canada. We're a growing country. That's a good thing. Every other wealthy industrialized nation in the world, when they look at their economy, one of the first problems they see is a demographic challenge. Because Canada is one of the few countries that is open to immigration, that is less of a challenge for us. That's a great thing. As finance minister, I see as a huge advantage for Canada. We're a growing country. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be a good thing if the people coming in are skilled, if they contribute to the economy, if they are productive, if they work and they pay taxes to contribute to the social fabric. If their involvement in our communities is overall positive, that's a good thing, can be. But when you bring huge numbers of people here who maybe are not, maybe even if they are skilled, but their qualifications don't meet Canadian standards, like some doctors come here but can't practice medicine because their licenses are not up to Canadian standards, then they become a drag on the economy potentially if they're not out there working. If you have a lot of people taking advantage of the welfare state, or some people coming here for economic opportunism or simply to avail themselves of social welfare, that's not good. If you have people who come here and need years of education, then during those years of education, the system has to support that. And even if you don't have enough infrastructure, it's not good for the newcomers. If you don't have enough hospitals, if you don't have enough doctors here to serve the people we already have, where are we going to get all the doctors to service all the new people? Unless you're bringing in more doctors, but that doesn't appear to be the case. And that's just healthcare. There's every other social service that we have as well that is under stress. Healthcare being one of the main ones. Education. You bring in people from all these different countries. They all speak different languages. You put these kids into the public school system. Are the teachers properly equipped to deal with kids from 5 different countries speaking 5 more different languages? It's not just English and French. I remember just as a kid being in elementary school, other kids arriving here from other countries, a few. And it was a real challenge for the teachers. If they came here and they didn't speak English at all, there was a language barrier there for the teachers. Now you have that additional expense and challenge of bringing in someone who can communicate with the child in order to help them get up to speed and stay up to speed and learn one of the 2 official languages or both, or accommodate them in some way. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. I'm just saying these are real challenges. These are things that we need to be taking into account as we just open up the borders and just let all these people in. We need to be able to take care of the people who come here and make sure that we can take care of the people who are already here. And we're seeing too many people on the streets. And we just heard more talk tonight in the House of Commons about someone dying in a tent because they couldn't get a home. Inflation at record levels. Some people can't afford to put a turkey on the table this Christmas. A lot of people. And that's driving some people to desperation. And that's also making people at this time even more vulnerable to these stupid psyops that we're being exposed to out there as well. And depression, mental health issues, especially coming off the pandemic, which hopefully we're putting behind us in some way. But there's a lot more work that needs to be done there too, because the issues that were there at the beginning of the pandemic still have not been properly addressed. We're still seeing the court cases unfold. We're seeing the damage still to this very day of, from all the things that happened back then. And this white lung disease or syndrome that's happening over in China and seems to now be finding its way into North America. We saw some cases in the Cincinnati area just the other day. A lot of concerns about that. This is not over. We still haven't made the necessary changes to our Constitution, to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms here in Canada, in order to ensure that we don't have a repeat of the abuse of our rights by government if this should happen again. In fact, we've just moved on from it. A lot of people are not focused on that anymore. They're worried about all the other crap that's going on out there, whether it's the LGBTQS plus mania or these wars that is really just one big war, honestly, that is being waged not just overseas, but also here. In case you haven't noticed, it is World War III. It's just a different kind of war, and we're fighting it right here on the home front, and that's what that PSYOP is all about, too. You think that house blowing up just a short distance from the White House last night was just some random act by some random wacko? Look at what we just told you about what that guy was consuming online, what kind of information it was that he was messed up about in his head. 9/11 conspiracy, the election, all of these things. And I'm not saying that necessarily these things are maybe not true. You can decide for yourself what you think is true or not true, but you push these, you keep shoving that stuff into somebody's head long enough and repeat it often enough, and you're going to get them angry enough and manipulate them enough using online social media, you're going to drive them nuts. Believe me, sitting in this chair, and maybe it's happening to you too, it's sometimes I have to go look at myself in the mirror almost every day. And I look there and I go, are you sure you're not living some sort of Orwellian nightmarish movie? What the heck happened? What the heck happened? That's a really good question. Because it seems like people have changed. And not for the better.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
Okay, so I'm back. Oh, and Lori just messaged me and she just clarified. So I guess Trump could actually have 2 more consecutive terms. So I stand corrected. Thank you, Lori, for sending that. Appreciate that. This little Canadian up here is grateful for that clarification. And, you know, I saw this clip the other night from Seamus O'Regan, one of Trudeau's right-hand men. And I was just looking for it here. I wanted to share it with you because it really it was very telling. I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep looking for it as we go through things here tonight. And I'll show it just illustrates for me a lot of what I've been talking about tonight and how he can see that the country is broken and people's minds are broken, how people have changed, but he ultimately comes out on the opposite side of everything. He still doesn't see the darkness that the government has cloaked the country in, the evil that they've done. He sees positivity in it, even though you can see that he's somehow distressed, just depressed and confused about what's happened. You can see it in his eyes. I hope I can find the clip for you. If I don't find it here tonight, I'll share it with you maybe tomorrow, but got to find that clip. He was just a speech that he gave within the last couple of days. And it shows you just how crazy everything has become. So that even these government officials who've done terrible things to us. I'm just flipping through my phone here to see if I can find the clip that was sent to me from him. Even as they've done terrible things to us, they don't see that what they've done is terrible. To them, it's like everything's gone so weird and everything's awful, but look at the great thing we did. It's just a little weird. Let me keep looking for it. What else could I share with you tonight? So that would be something, if Trump got eight more years, 2 consecutive terms. I didn't know that. And I should have known that because now as I sit here, I do remember that being said to me before. So I forgot. But that's because I'm old and it's called early senility. Early Alzheimer's, a little forgetful. The president of Harvard, in an exchange today in Congress, under fire for not taking a harder line to support Israel. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik going hard on the president of Harvard today, Claudine Gay. I've got the exchange here queued up. This also illustrates where we're at in terms of public discourse, and it ain't good. Stefanik calling for the president of Harvard to resign or be fired, removed. Check it out.
Based upon your testimony, you understand that this call for intifada is to commit genocide against the Jewish people in Israel and globally, correct?
I will say again, that type of hateful speech is personally abhorrent to me.
Do you believe that type of hateful speech is contrary to Harvard's code of conduct, or is it allowed at Harvard?
It is at odds with the values of Harvard.
Can you
But
not
our
say here that it
values
is against the
also-
code of conduct at Harvard?
We embrace a commitment to free expression, even of views that are objectionable, offensive, hateful. It's when that speech crosses against bullying, harassment,
Does that speech not cross that barrier? Does that speech not call for the genocide of Jews and the elimination of Israel?
When
You
that speech-
testify that you understand that is the definition of intifada. Is that speech according to the code of conduct or not?
We embrace a commitment to free expression and give a wide berth to free expression, even of views that are objectionable.
You and I
outrageous,
both know
and
that's not the
offensive.
case. You are aware that Harvard ranked dead last when it came to free speech. Are you not aware of that report?
As I observed earlier, I reject that characterization.
It's the
of our
data shows
campus.
it's true. Will admissions offers be rescinded or any disciplinary action be taken against students or applicants who say from the river to the sea or intifada advocating for the murder of Jews?
As I've said, that type of hateful, reckless, offensive speech is personally abhorrent to me.
Today that no action will be taken. What action will be taken?
When speech crosses into conduct that violates our policies, including policies against bullying, harassment, or intimidation, we take action, and we have robust disciplinary processes that allow us to hold individuals accountable.
What action has been taken against students who are harassing and calling for the genocide of Jews on Harvard's campus?
I can assure you, we have robust
What
disciplinary
actions have been
processes
taken? I'm not
with
asking.
actions underway.
I'm asking what actions have been taken against
Given-
those students.
Given students' rights to privacy and our obligations under FERPA, I will not say more about any specific cases other than to reiterate that processes are ongoing.
Do you know what the #1 hate crime in America is?
I know that over the last couple of months, there has been an alarming rise of anti-Semitism, which I understand is the critical topic that we are here to discuss.
That's correct. It is anti-Jewish hate crimes. And Harvard ranks the lowest when it comes to protecting Jewish students. This is why I've called for your resignation. And your testimony today, not being able to answer with moral clarity, speaks volumes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thanks to the panel for being. They need to be addressed because leadership matters, and you are leaders in academia, at your institutions as well, and leadership matters. President Gay, I was taken by some words in your opening statement where you said, cure for anti-Semitism is knowledge. I would go where angels fear to tread and suggest that it might be better going back to the original motto idea for Harvard, which was Veritas, truth, that the cure for anti-Semitism is not simply knowledge, it's truth. Knowledge puffs up. Knowledge sometimes is based upon falsehoods. I think that's what we're facing right now in the climate on campuses, is that we're missing the fact of truth and allowing, under the guise of free speech, knowledge that isn't true to be exhibited in actions as well. So President Gay, in the weeks since October 7th, and again in your testimony, you have said that Harvard's commitment to free speech extends to views that are objectionable or outrageous. Are you aware that Harvard is ranked dead last on the 2024 Foundation of Individual Rights and Expression Scorecard of Universities on Freedom of Speech?
Thank you, Congressman, for the question. Respectfully, I disagree with that perspective as represented in the report that you cited. I don't think it's an accurate representation of how Harvard treats speech on campus. We are committed to free expression and to making space for a wide range of views and perspectives on our campus.
With all due respect, let me move on a bit.
Bedrock.
I would expect that you wouldn't agree with that. I understand that. And I would expect that the University of Penn, the same would be true, that you wouldn't agree that you're second to last on that same scorecard. But President Gay, did you know that 70% of Harvard students say that shouting down a speaker is acceptable?
That is not okay.
I appreciate that. It seems that perhaps Harvard's commitment to free speech is pretty selective. As you are no doubt aware, prominent alumnus Bill Ackman tweeted you a letter on Sunday, and in that letter, and I have that tweet, I guess that's the beauty of social media, you can get those things. In that letter, he highlighted 2 cases of Harvard faculty members who were canceled because of views deemed too controversial for your campus. Tyler J. Vanderweel was deemed guilty for those crimes related to his views on marriage and abortion. And then Carol Hoven, an evolutionary biologist, was forced to resign because she stated that a person's sex is biological and binary. Mr. Ackerman's letter also...
Okay, so that's enough of that. I did find that clip of Seamus O'Regan. This is from 5 days ago when he was speaking at the Empire Club of Canada. And he talks about we're not over COVID. I want to play this clip. I think the audio on it, the audio levels are a little low, but we'll try and get through it. I hope it's audible for you. Here we go. Seamus O'Regan, listen to what he says.
Building confidence. Building confidence wherever we can find it.
Can you hear that?
Because I don't think any of us are over COVID. I don't think any of us are over COVID. I don't think we've dealt with it. As a country, as a world, we've just moved on. We're busy. You know, we got things to do, we got bills to pay, we got families to care for, life carries on. But we've been jarred. We've changed. And as a result, as we say in Newfoundland, the nerves are rub raw. Our nerves are rub raw. We're reeling in the wake of a global pandemic. We have a war raging in Europe. We have the Middle East on the precipice. We have a climate crisis. We have a suddenly aging population. So I understand when no one's feeling it. Feeling the most remarkable economic recovery I could imagine for a country of people who just spent years in varying degrees of isolation, socially distancing, afraid of one another. If you told me in my 14th Zoom call of the day, in the 14th month of my isolation, running the Department of Natural Resources at home, alone, with my husband, that this country would not just recover from the ravages of a global pandemic, but would lead the world in job growth. Not just recovering all those lost jobs, but adding hundreds of thousands more, I would never believe you. Picture yourself back then. You wouldn't believe it. We did that. All of us as a country, we did that. And we can't forget that. We can't just move on. We will not understand this perpetual angst that we find ourselves in if we don't remember what we have been through. And more importantly, we will not be able to tackle the massive challenges that confront us unless we remember what we did, what we, all of us, together, what we did. We need to remember patriotism. We need to celebrate it, like you do here. Not flag waving and anthems, but deeds, what we did. Canada is a country that rallies. We
Are you freaking kidding me? Are you listening to what this guy said? He so does not get it. I don't know if you could hear that because the audio levels were terrible and there was static all over it. It was a terrible feed. But he basically said that we're not over COVID. We've changed. Yeah, no kidding. He's the Minister of Labor for the federal government. He makes reference to the isolation, people being locked down for months. He says, talks about the 14th month of lockdowns where he's at home in isolation with his husband. And he would never have believed the remarkable recovery that the country would go through, not only recovering all of the jobs that were lost during the pandemic, but adding hundreds of thousands of new ones. And he speaks of the angst. He clearly recognizes that the country is being ripped apart from within somehow, but all he sees through his rose-colored glasses is a remarkable recovery. We can't just move on. We can't just forget about that. We need to recognize that. We need to remember patriotism, he says, not flag waving, but deeds. Because of what we did. What did they do? Honestly, we do need to remember what they did. It was terrible. It's still terrible. It threatens the very existence of the country, what they did as a government to us, what they continue to do to us. He says we need to celebrate. No, we don't. We need to learn and correct. Because what they did was destructive. And what we're experiencing now is a fake recovery, financed with borrowed, printed money. All the government is doing right now is pointing to the shiny new car they bought on the credit card, saying, look at that fantastic new car. It's electric. They just bought it on our Visa card. And they say, success. But it's fake because it's borrowed money from the future. If we don't get the productivity back out of it to pay it off, we're screwed because they've gambled it all. They're all in. They just pushed it all into the middle of the poker table and said, let it ride. And they locked people down, isolated everyone. We've got massive mental health issues before us, still grappling with it. Yes, and they've waltzed right in to two major world conflicts, which are the underpinnings for actually what we are really in, which is the Third World War. Again, at our expense, as people, as citizens. And as a result of all of that and the unrest around the world, then they open up the floodgates and bring in even more immigrants. Yes, and they're supposed to be taking in about 500,000 a year, but every year it's always more than that. And last year, about 1 million in a country of only 40 million. And we've had a record number of immigrants coming into the country every single year under Trudeau, and even more coming now. We will be well over 1 million in the coming year. We could hit 1.4, maybe even 1.5 million in the coming year. And we don't have enough houses to put roofs over the heads of the people that we have here now. And that's supposed to be a good thing. No, it's not. It's destabilizing. It's not healthy. It's not responsible. And everything we have right now, yeah, people are drunk. Some people are getting rich, drunk on free money. And if you're among those who are out there as maybe a construction contractor or somebody in an industry that is awash in free government money right now, yeah, you're going to support them. They're out there buying votes, left, right, and center. That's what the libs do. And the pandemic gave them license, didn't it, to just throw money around like crazy and continue to throw money around right now, because it was an opportunity to fundamentally transform our society and our economy. And that is exactly what they're doing. And they are buying up the means of production, essentially nationalizing industries like the auto industry by buying up the means of production with government subsidies and government grants to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars for multinational corporations, which have no loyalty at all anymore to Canada or the US. None. Ford, GM, Chrysler. Chrysler's not even its own thing anymore. It's been folded into Stellantis, which I think has, 20, 30, 40 different auto companies under its umbrella all around the world. It's not like it was, man, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, even the 80s. These companies have America, but they are controlled by government because of the massive infusion of cash. Your money, my money, printed money. When they print it, it's just like taking it out of your bank account. Massive taxation. And yet Seamus O'Regan, the federal labor minister for the government of Canada, stands up there and he clearly does not get it. He sees the stress. He can see that everything is in a state of turmoil within the country and that there is, in his words, angst. No kidding. Well, why would there be angst, Mr. O'Regan? And I actually kind of like you as a person. Always have. But as a politician and your policies, you're not clued in. You're not getting it, man. There's a lot of angst because everything that the government did during the pandemic was destructive. They took people's rights away. They took away the freedom of choice. They took away people's freedoms when they really had no right to do it at all. They took us into the freaking dark ages. And we're still there. But of course, in his mind, because he's part of this progressive, liberal, Trudeau, woke government, well, look at the great thing we did. We just bought all these jobs with money that we just printed out of nowhere. What a great thing we've done. We came through the pen. Look at what we've done. It's time to celebrate. No. Why do you think so many people are marching in the streets? Why do you think so many people are still so darn upset? Why do you think there's so much angst. Because the people are divided. Because we have all this identity politics playing out. Against a backdrop of coercion, authoritarianism, economic fascism, married with a heavy dose of what I would say is communism, with a real heavy dose of foreign influence, a super duper dose of foreign influence, with a paper trail that we can clearly see. And you can trace it all the way back to Xi Jinping, Communist Party of China, and all the money that's been flowing into liberal campaigns in Canada from Chinese sources. And there's an absolute paper trail on that. It's disgusting. It's dark. And that's why people are upset. That's what the angst is about. So as Seamus O'Regan stood up there and delivered that address just in the past week, you can see that he's confused. I can see it in his eyes. He's like, he doesn't understand it. They've done this great thing. Oh, we all worked together. We were all in it together, right? Yeah, but people have kind of figured out that everything the government did was destructive. That's why today, when it comes to the thing in the arm, most people are not lining up to get the next one. No, they're not. And no wonder people are suspicious of everything going on with the government. And when the mayor of Montreal today delivers an address and then collapses suddenly, that's the first thing people think of, right? And understandably so. Why did the mayor of Montreal today just collapse suddenly? Just collapsed. Became faint and collapsed. Here we go. This is what happened. This is Montreal Mayor Valérie Plante at a news conference collapsing. This is the CTV feed, just to give them credit for this. Here it is.
I want to encourage them, I guess, maybe to ask them if they're okay, if they need help, and maybe if they don't feel safe, to send them to. There's so many shelters that exist right now and that can welcome them and give them a warm meal and direct them to other kinds of services. So I would. Oh non, je sais pas. Merci beaucoup. S'il vous plaît, on va arrêter les caméras, merci. Je pense que c'est terminé pour aujourd'hui. Merci beaucoup. Merci. Si vous avez des questions,
So So what was that really all about? Well, who the heck knows? More weirdness. More weirdness. The word from her people over at Montreal City Hall is that she's doing well now, but she's going to reduce the pace of her activities over the next few days. And as you saw, she didn't lose consciousness, but she was very faint. Obviously didn't have the strength to remain standing. They did call an ambulance for her. She was examined by paramedics at the scene. They say she is starting to feel better. As a precautionary measure, according to the officials at City Hall, the mayor will absent herself from the Ville-Marie Borough Council meeting tonight and will reduce her activities in the coming days. Gradually resuming her activities over the next week or so. She suffered what they're calling a malaise. Yeah, but they say that she is out of danger and will receive all the medical attention she requires. She got well wishes from senior political leaders like the Prime Minister and the Premier of Quebec. What the exact cause of this might have been, we still don't really know. But of course, anytime something like this happens now, and there does seem to be more of them, people automatically wonder if it has anything to do with the super juice. And who can blame people for speculating? Tonight, though, she is still alive and recovering and apparently feeling better. And we obviously wish her well. But we will see. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a little break and then we will go to the phones.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. More alarmingly, some media outlets simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are Mavericks. We are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
Join the conversation. Call 1-833-975-3733. That's 1-833-975-FREE. Speak up. Speak out. Make your voice heard. Maverick News.
fighting for freedom by defending your right to free speech. Be a Maverick. Join us.
Okay, just a reminder that you can support the show and help us cover the costs of putting this program on every single night, including paying for these phone lines that we're about to go to, by donating at maverickdonations.com. That's the Give, Send, Go. Or most people seem to go here. Not that we, most people, but more people go here than go to the other one. freedomreporters.com. That seems to be where people want to go. freedomreporters.com. You can support us over there too. And please like, share, subscribe over on Rumble. We're getting lots of traction over there. We're also on some other platforms now, like Wimkin. And some of these platforms actually charge us a fee to be on their platforms, including Rumble. So there's a fee there. So those are the kinds of things that your donations help to pay for. And the software. And the streaming program. And the list goes on. Just trying to keep this show on the road, as they say. And we are ready to go to our first callers of the night. Let me put the phone number up on the screen again here. And the number is 1-833-975-3733, 1-833-975-3733. So call early, call often. I'll be right here, ready to talk about anything you want to discuss tonight. Stay with me.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. More alarmingly, some media outlets simply are true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are Mavericks. We are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
And a big thank you to White Knight for that $7 donation over on the Rumble Rants. Truly appreciate that.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow, maybe too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Should also draw your attention to this story developing tonight, which is very important before we get to the phones, but you should call in and get in the queue at 1-833-975-3733. Republicans stormed out of a briefing as Congress battles over Israel and Ukraine aid package, as you see in this headline. Senate Republicans walked out saying the Democrats and administration officials did not address the demands for border security provisions to be included in the aid package. So it's a classified briefing for senators on the White House's request for aid for Israel and Ukraine became heated, with Republican members storming out. The briefing was led by Secretaries of Defense and State, as well as the Director of National Intelligence and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, held behind closed doors to allow 100 senators to ask questions about the administration's funding request. But it all fell apart, apparently. And as you know, public support for the wars is waning. And Volodymyr Zelensky in Ukraine is warning or begging, saying that without ongoing U.S. aid, Ukraine will likely lose the war. No kidding. No kidding. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat, left the briefing saying that Minority Leader Mitch McConnell hijacked the briefing by veering the conversation toward the border. He said, it was immediately hijacked by Leader McConnell, Schumer said. The first question, instead of asking our panelists, he pulled on Langford to give a 5-minute talk about the negotiations on border. And that wasn't the purpose of the meeting at all. One of them started. It was disrespectful, started screaming at one of the generals and challenging him to why he didn't go to the border, Schumer said. Well, because the border is actually kind of a pretty important issue, and it's also about actual national security in a more meaningful way, in a more important way, really, than these wars in these other countries in many respects. But hey, you know, whatever you're thinking. Anyway, still waiting for calls to queue up here at 1-833-975-3733. Just make sure the calls are system's still running. Yeah, it's everything's all set. I don't have anybody in the queue. Maybe nobody's out there watching tonight. The numbers say that we have an audience, pretty good audience too. So if you are inclined to exercise your right to free speech, the floor is yours. All you have to do is dial the number. 1-833-975-3733. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and keep on talking. And who wants that? Hang on a second here. I'll run this and I'll be right back.
Jingle bells. Trudeau smells. Biden laid an egg. Klaus Schwab's deal has no appeal. But tomorrow is a brand new day. Hey everyone. Have a merry Maverick Christmas. And a magnificent new year.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, we're ready to start taking calls. And I'll just mention too, did you see this week that the Quebec National Assembly unanimously voted in favor of defending Christmas? This after the Canadian Human Rights Commission said that Christmas is just another example of colonialism and religious intolerance. Really? Yeah. Anyway, what a disgrace. What a disgrace. Let's go to the phones here. All right, let's bring it up. Let's get to our first caller of the night, ladies and gents. And here we go. Here's the man without a plan.
Here I come to save the day.
Hey,
Mighty Mouth.
Mighty Mouth.
Mighty Mouth. Merry Christmas. And I hope CSIS and the government and the Quebec government can hear that. Merry Christmas. Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. Human rights. Come on. Who listens to human rights? If the human rights listened to us, we wouldn't be where we are today. Struggling.
Yes. Yeah.
As for the mayor of Montreal, yeah, I hate to be shallow, but you got the mouth of the South, the man without a plan to master all your disasters, Rick. Fuck her. How's that sound? And fuck the rest of them. And fuck CSIS, fuck the FBI, fuck CIA. All you guys listening out there on Rumble, okay? We know it's all being watched. Period. Go fuck yourselves. I'm no Elon fucking Musk. But I'll tell you what, if I win that $48 million on fucking Wednesday, there's going to be a lot of happy Mavericks because I'm going to share the wealth. I don't need $48 million.
Well, that would be
Period.
really nice, wouldn't it, to for somebody to win $48 million? Wow.
Yeah, somebody in the group.
Yeah.
The Mavericks group. So buy tickets. Yeah. It'd be better that way.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be tickled pink.
Yes, sir.
So
what else you thinking, Leo, tonight?
What else am I thinking? I'm thinking the war in Ukraine's done. So the faster they concede, the better off they all are. And that's all that wasted money. Remember the billions of dollars the government lent was tax-free, or interest-free, those loans?
Yep.
We'll never see another fucking cent, folks.
No.
That money's gone. Okay? Even if the Ukrainians miraculously fucking won somehow, you're not going to see that money. That's long gone.
Yeah.
Dissipated in the air.
Yep.
Okay, so it was all a lie, and the bullshit. Okay, and I really like what the House is doing. The Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they hold the majority of the power in the House. Correct, Rick?
Yep. Yeah.
So the buck stops there, and we're only another month away from the U.S. elections.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another month. What is it? January 7th or the 6th?
Yeah.
Is that when they have it?
I'm not sure. I'm not.
Well, it's speeding up pretty fast. And it's funny because we've been watching a lot of the Republican debates. I haven't seen any Democratic debates. Have you?
No. But that's because I think they're just planning on handing it to Biden anyway, unless he keels over or something. So.
Well, you can't say that on YouTube, Rick. I must tell you, they will block you. 82 million people just can't be wrong, folks.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
And if that happens again, oh boy. Okay, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's going to change the face of the West.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what I was
Republic.
really referring to was the nomination. There's nobody really stepping up at this point to challenge Biden for the nomination. Although I think Gavin Newsom is sort of in there, which is probably why you saw Hannity doing that weird debate the other night over the weekend between DeSantis and Newsom. I just thought it was really weird. He took those two governors and gave them so much profile like that, but maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Well, I hear the Trump's on Hannity tonight.
Is he? Okay.
He's on Hannity tonight. I'm sure I'm going to watch that after your show because I got nothing else to do at work, right? But sit around and watch Maverick Multimedia, baby. Yes, I haven't missed the show in a long time. But that's the way it is. I got the dream job, guys and girls. I do. I really do. And I slipped out of work. I went to a funeral at 3:30. It was a wake. And seen a lot of people I haven't seen in years, right? And it's sad that we can only get together at bad times, right? So, we talked and we're going to have a little get-together party, a lot of us, right? So it is Christmas, right? And like I said, Merry Christmas to everybody. But there is somebody special in your group tonight, Mr. Rick.
Oh, is that right? Who's that?
And that's Shelby. Shelby 61. Okay, she was in the grocery store. She put it in the chat. She was in the grocery store, and she paid for somebody's groceries behind her. Okay, and she just said, pay it forward. And apparently the woman that she paid for the groceries, her husband's at home with cancer. So, I like to hear stories like that this time. I like to hear them all year round, not just this time of fucking year. Right. And I'm going to be doing something special. I'm going to do something special for my community. I always do every year. Right. And, I'm going to donate some of my weekend time down at the mission in the kitchen, of course. Right. And I'm going to cook, and my son's there, and he finishes his high school on the 15th. He gets all his credits. So I'm really, really proud of him, right, for sticking through it with his co-op and shit. And now the mission wants to hire him full time, right? So in the kitchen, right? So it's good to see him doing that, right? Because he's reaching out, he's helping people, right? And I guess he got that from his mother, not from me. He got that from his mother, not from me.
The thing happened to me today. I was walking down the street with my dog, and I was coming up on like the super box mailbox where everybody goes, and I could hear two gentlemen speaking at the mailbox just up the street ahead of me. And I was stopped with my dog for a moment, and the one guy said, "Well, and you have a great Merry Christmas." And the other fella turned, and I'm not going to give you any names, and he said, "Well, Christmas isn't a good time of year for me because my wife passed away last Christmas." And you never know what somebody else is going through, So a kind word is sometimes all that it takes to make somebody's day better. And it just really hit home for me, I didn't know these guys. My
own father, right? Talking about homes and shit like that, the old age homes, and my own father, when he passed away, he wanted to stay home. He could have went anywhere. His benefits through Chrysler's. He could have went to an old age home, hospice, whatever. Right? No, he wanted to stay home, and you know what? I provided for him, and I stayed home with him. You want to die on the couch? I'll never let my parents ever, or my in-laws. You're not going to those places. You're not. I know you feel like a burden. You're not a fucking burden. Not in my eyes. Okay. You gave us life. You gave us the ability to be where we're at today. And, that's much appreciated to the day you die. You could die on my couch. Don't you worry about that. I'll buy a new couch after you die on it. But, it is what it is, right? So, and my own father, he died on the 28th of December. So it's always a rough time of year, but, as years go on, right, I appreciate what I have. What little I do have is mine. So I'm going to probably end up buying 500 cheeseburgers from McDonald's. I'm just going to hand them out to the downtown homeless this year. That's what I'm going to do.
That's awesome, man.
Right? Yeah. So, I'll put it on that Facebook Live. But also Facebook Live, I can't wait. I'm going to bait the liberals like no tomorrow, Rick. They're going to get an invitation to come to my house and put on their sign. And once they get to my house and knock on the door and give me the speech, I'm going to give them the fucking speech. And I'm going to drop my drawers on Facebook Live, and I'm going to tell them to kiss my hairy ass the fuck off my property. Because this is where we're at, right? And that's what you got to do with these creeps.
That's why I like it when you call in. You always give us the naked truth.
the naked truth, and they're going to get the raw butt end of it, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's what they deserve, nothing less. Because we are where we're at today because of these creeps, okay? And the money that's wasted, it's sickening.
Yeah.
It's sickening. Suicides are up. Not only are they up, shit, they got the program made now. Fuck, you don't have to do what and make it dirty and do it at home. You could just walk in and hey, I can't pay my bills or my rent. I got nowhere to go. Okay, you're on that MAID program. Take the pill, right? And it's sickening, very sickening. I can't believe the whole world's watching Canada right now. We're a laughing disgrace.
Yeah.
From a country that was strong, and I always respected our military, and I still do, and I will till the day I die, right? Because they're stuck in the middle. They're Malcolm in the middle. Okay, when you have military personnel that can't afford housing, okay, the ranks are down in the military. Okay, and they're sleeping in their fucking cars, Rick. Imagine that.
Yeah.
You work for the Canadians. You work for the Department of National Defense, and there's no home for you, so you're sleeping in your car or your van or whatever, wherever you're sleeping, because you're homeless, because they don't make a lot of money. I think the base rate for a private's only like $2,300, $2,400 a month, right? You can't find a 1-bedroom apartment in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver for that price. Edmonton, Calgary, it's all the same. Even Windsor.
Yeah, no wonder they're having trouble recruiting people.
Well, this is why they're bringing in 500,000 or more people per year, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're selling them something that's not here, and they're gonna find out really quick when they get here. They're gonna want to go home, and they won't care if it's in Palestine, right? At least they're getting free food in Palestine, right? And they'll be rebuilding Palestine eventually. Palestine won't sit there the way that it is, So I don't blame them. Once they're here, it's sickening. I feel sorry for them because they're being sold a lie.
Yes, they are.
Right? And they are 100%. The land of the free? I don't think so. Not when we're paying 66% tax on. At the end of the day, nothing's free, folks.
That's right. That's true.
So,
yeah.
You got any more calls in your queue?
Yes, sir. I do. They're stacked up now. So thanks for getting things kicked off. You always get the ball.
All right.
rolling.
If you could donate. You got a new donator. My mind's a little boggled because I had a couple beers at that wake. But somebody donated today on Maverick, and you can become a member for $5 a month, and you'll see the highlight. Okay, there's a bunch of us, and we're pink. I don't know why we're pink, but that's all right. Okay, we're pink, and that's why we're pink highlighted, because we're paying members every month. It's only $5 a month, guys. If you got it, give it. If you don't, we get it. That's a fact. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Leo. Good man. Thanks for getting things kicked off here. Let's move on to Isabel. How are you? Hello.
I'm going to wait for Mouse to win that money.
Well, don't hold your breath. The odds are slim, but we'll hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, I should be really happy and celebrate because the OAS got a raise.
Is that right? The OAS? What
yes, and I can buy an extra.
What's the OAS? What's the OAS?
The old age security.
Oh, okay. How much?
So now I can buy an extra loaf of bread, $9.
Well, what are you complaining for then? You're all set now.
I don't.
You can buy yourself a large fry at McDonald's, but that's about it.
Yeah, I don't eat McDonald's.
Oh my. I don't think $9 would even get you lunch there anymore.
No.
No.
No. This is it's crazy. And I listened to that Minister of Labor. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really. Like exactly. That was my reaction to
like, what don't they do? They not look in the mirror at themselves and go, "Oh my God, I'm such a liar."
Clearly not. They just don't get it. They're living in a different world, man. They really are. They're insulated from regular people. They've got their
Yeah.
income. They're all set. They're not suffering. They clearly just do not get it.
No, it needs to be like Undercover Boss, where they come out of their little cocoon and try and do what we're doing with the little bit that we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I listen. Oh, Freakland. Every time I hear her on there, it's like, are you kidding me?
Mhm.
Really? You've done so well? Yeah, you've done so well at screwing up this country.
Terrible, man.
Like, you put us in lockdown so you can change all this shit behind our back. And then you come out and profess like you're some great mystic person that's made everything better. Oh my God.
Yeah, she thinks she's smarter than she is. That's very clear to me.
Yeah, I when I see her face, it's like that's where I get my vengeance out, because I scream at the TV when you have her on. Like, oh, you bitch. Like, really? What I would like to do, but
Yeah, it makes me want to pull my hair out when I listen to her talk about the economy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How well she's done, and we've got the best credit rating in give me a break.
No.
Give me a break.
Yeah, it's just things are not good. The inflation is off the charts. It's homelessness is at record levels. People are struggling. The employment rate is not as good as they say it is. They're sugarcoating those figures, and the country has never been, I think, in a worse place in terms of, feeling national pride, in terms of national unity. It's so divided. Everybody's fighting. I've never seen so many protests in the streets. No, man, these are not good times. It's not a time to celebrate. No, we need to fix the problems is what we need to do. I think this starts with getting rid of the liberals. Just get them out of there, whatever it takes.
They're running around patting their backs like, they're such great people, and we're the ones, as they call us, the bottom feeders. Mm-hmm. We're the ones that are struggling while they think everything is great. I'm like, what matrix do you live in?
Yeah.
Because you can't be living in the same place I'm living in. Like, give your head a shake.
Yeah.
Because if you don't give your head a shake, somebody's going to shake it for you, because we're getting tired of this.
Yeah, yeah. And even new Canadians, excuse me, people who have come here just even within the last 5 to 10 years. When I speak to some of them, they do want to leave the country. They've come here. They thought they were coming here for something other than what they're encountering now. And even the people who've come within the last 5 to 10 years, they're seeing the flood of more people coming in. And for them, it's an issue because it's putting so much stress on our infrastructure, our social welfare programs. And it's not good for their kids.
And I've seen some of the podcasters talking to the people from Jamaica and that, and don't come here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're interviewing them. Well, we came here thinking that, this was going to better us from what we were coming from.
No.
But don't come here. And he said, I'm telling my relative, don't come here.
They've told us for so long that we're one of the richest countries in the world, and it is just not true. Not anymore.
No. Even, Rick, even in 1957, we came to Canada. My dad left a bus driving job. He used to drive double-deckers in Scotland. And when he came here, he was promised he would get the same equality for jobs. Yeah, right. They flew us to the middle of nowhere in Timmins. We landed in a bush plane of 22 people, 22 families. Out of the 22 families, 19 left. The other 2 stayed, and we were one of them. My father was working down a mine, 300 feet down, in a gold mine in Timmins. And that's not what they promised him.
Yeah.
That is not what they promised him, and that's what we came to. So it was like coming from civilization and going backwards in time.
Yep. Canada
I mean,
has
it was a
Canada has a legacy of that. You know, the first people who came here to the New World, if you go back and look at the advertisements that they were running over in Europe at the time, they had pictures of palm trees and, you know, sunny beaches, right? They were telling people it was going to be so much easier here, and they got on the ships and they came across the ocean. They landed here, and what did they find? A lot of trees and rocks and bears that wanted to eat them.
Yeah, I mean, when we landed in Timmins, like our backyard was the bush.
Yeah.
So I came from a small village where I could look down the street and see the ocean. And yeah, okay, we lived in a council house, which was like, but I mean, we had our own yard, we had a rockery, it was a 2-story, it was gorgeous. And we came here to, it was almost like a wooden shack.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep.
I mean, my mother was ready to not even unpack her suitcase.
Yeah.
And my dad got the trip across by ship. So he had a 2-week vacation on board a ship, and we flew over. So he was out here 2 weeks before us. But yeah, that was a culture shock. Totally. They professed that, you know, you'd have your own home and this is what you would have. Of course, you know, my parents my dad jumped on the bandwagon, but then we got here and it was like, oh my God. Like, yeah, and bears running through the backyard. No doubt about it.
Yeah. It was a hard time,
they
you know.
lie on that point.
That's why I just
And-
take
and it
accept.
has-
I just don't buy into this whole notion that there's all this even white privilege or, you know, European colonialist settlers didn't contribute. No, man. Like it was rough for everybody, you know. And harsh winters, and people arrived here. There was nothing. It was like and then you look at what everybody here together has built over, you know, 150, 200 years. And it's pretty amazing. It really is when you think about it.
But you know what's more amazing? What's more amazing is I found when I moved from Timmins to Ottawa, and I was in grade 5 when I moved to Ottawa, and they were shocked that I didn't know French. Well, you've been in Canada. I said, yeah, but I came from Timmins. So if you were going to push French, you had to push German, Slovakian, Hungarian, Italian, Portuguese. Because it was multicultural, but we were people. And if somebody had nothing, somebody else would give it. And when somebody went hunting, if there was a bear that came into town, or somebody shot a bear, or they shot a moose, that was shared among the people. It wasn't, this is mine, can't have any. I mean, it was shared among the people. And we survived because we took care of each other, not because of your nationality, not because of your skin color or your race or your religion, because you were a human. And they're not doing that anymore.
Community.
Like I can't grasp this.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that's why I get so frustrated, is because if you cut us, we're all going to bleed red. There ain't no other color. I don't get it. I just don't get it. But I won't keep you because I know you got a slew. But I did want to wish you Merry, 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 Merry Christmas and screw Trudeau.
Merry Christmas to everybody except him.
Yeah, he's going to get cold like this.
There you go. Well,
Okay, you
thank
have a
you.
good night, Rick.
You too. Been a pleasure as always. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Here we go. Who do we have in the line next?
Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Roaring Dragon. How are you tonight, Rick?
Well, I'm just fine. How are you, sir?
I'm doing extra great, actually.
Good.
Well, I was wondering, where do I donate to get my Malta shirt? Because I really want the Malta shirt.
Which shirt do you want? Do you want just like a news shirt? A Maverick news shirt?
Oh, the Exile of Malta looks
Exile of Maltas. Yeah, okay. So they should be arriving any day now. I'm just waiting for the printing to be finished on them. And yeah, just email me or whatever, or message me. You know how to do that, right? You got my email?
Yep.
Okay, so just email. I'll put it in the
I
chat here too. I'll put it in the chat here on Facebook, YouTube. Put this one in. And yeah, just send me an email and I'll send one to you. Yeah.
Cool. Actually, I wanted also to say, Mouth, he's a great man, giving his time to missions. I mean, right goes to my heart because, everyone knows I'm in the shelter and a mission right now. So, yeah, it's like, it's so cool. And I mean, I want to do the same. Actually, I do the same already. But once I'm going to have my place, I'll still going to, put some time here and there to, give some stuff around and give some of my time. So, this shelter looks like a beautiful place to be. So, yeah. That's cool.
Well, just send me your address or an address where I can send you this shirt and I'll send you one, Dragon. And I appreciate
All right, sir.
Yeah, appreciate the call as always. Okay, let's move on. We got the Weirdo Grinch up next, I guess. Go ahead. You're on the air.
The Grinch. Yeah, that's me, the Grinch.
Hello, John.
Yeah, Leo, you're a great guy, Leo. Good stuff you're doing.
And you're a good man, too, because
you
you sent me a calendar. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask you. You got it, eh?
Yesterday,
Good.
I received
I'm glad
it.
you
Yes,
got it.
with all the cars on it.
That's a good one. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I haven't changed my calendar yet. It starts in December. I got to change I'm looking at it now on the wall. I have to change it. Thanks for reminding me. I'm so busy, Rick. I'm so busy. I don't have time. But last Christmas, I'm doing it again this year. I go downtown and I hang out with the homeless on the street.
Yeah.
And I give them money, and I go to Tent City, sit around the fire there. They have a nice fire going,
Yeah.
They're good people. I'm telling you. I feel bad for them but they like living in the tents. They tell me they love living in the tents. So, and the street, there was a guy pushing a shopping cart I'm walking with the guy, that's what I'm going to do this year. I think gonna go back down there and hang out with those people. Maybe I'll bring some Mickeys with me and some stuff. We'll drink on the street. I don't want my mouth with his mouth on it, though. A lot of them have. A lot of those people have. What do you call it? They got diseases, anyways. So don't be careful when they cough. What's that coughing disease? When they cough, you can catch it. Whoopee, I don't know.
Whooping cough?
I forget now. Something like that. I forget. But they have. There's a native girl I knew. She lived on the street, and I always ran into her. And now she died. Actually, now I don't know. She was into the hard stuff though, needles and stuff. But anyways, there's a lot of good stuff on there.
Yeah. Did you know, John, and I forgot to mention this story off the earlier tonight. Did you know that the Sixt car rental company? They
which one?
SIXT. It's in mostly in the States, I think, but they're in Europe as well. And they just announced that they are not going to put Teslas into their fleet anymore because they're too expensive to buy and too expensive to maintain. So no more Tesla electric cars for the Sixt rental car company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the number one selling car right now. Like Musk said, that interview was good. Here, look, I'm posting something here, Rick. I want you to watch it after the show.
Mm-hmm.
Here, boom, an empty shell. You'll like this, Rick. This is empty shell. It came out this afternoon. I was watching it. It's only like 40 minutes. Scott Ritter.
Oh yeah,
And he's running down NATO. They're an empty shell, NATO. They're nothing. They're nobody. People are just putting money into this NATO, and they don't protect nobody. They can't protect. You got to watch this. This Scott Ritter speaks his mind, and he tells the truth. Yeah, he says, I'm going to get in trouble for what I'm saying, but this is it. This is the real. But this is an excellent interview. Let me see if it works, this link I put in.
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah, that's it. It works. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the one. Watch it after the show. But yeah, Elon Musk, he's another one like Ritter. He speaks his mind. Mm-hmm. Fuck you. F Y. I was watching. I record the stock market all the time. The CNBC. They played the whole interview from beginning right to the end. You didn't play the whole thing, but they did. It was like a half hour or something.
Yeah.
That guy, he don't give a shit, right? He ran down Disney like, they're in trouble. Disney's in trouble, and it's unbelievable. And this Scott Ritter one here is the same thing. He just,
Yeah, well, we'll probably get him back on the show at some point. He's been on, as you know, several times here on the
He's on
program.
almost every day. I watch him. Every day he's got a new interview going on somewhere. But this one here, I think you're going to enjoy it, get a lot out of this, and it'll wake you up. It just like today, they just had that John Bolton guy on Al Jazeera. I was kind of multitasking when I was listening to you guys.
Yeah.
He's not a big fan of. He's on Israel's side. Me, I'm on Hamas's side. I get pissed off. Like today, they were showing in the West Bank. There was a Palestinian in a wheelchair. And what do the Jews do? They kick him off the wheelchair. They start kicking him in the head, and they shoot him. And this was filmed by somebody far away on a camera. They didn't know they were being filmed. But that's disgusting. They also, in Jerusalem today, there's the big church there in Jerusalem. They're canceling Christmas this year. She took us into the church there, talked to the pastor there, and there's a baby in the rocks. That's what they have. That's supposed to be baby Jesus in the rocks. So they're canceling Christmas this year in Jerusalem. This war, they were showing Hamas. They got some good shots in Israel today. Destruction. People got in. Nobody died, but some people got injured. Some of the rockets they got through that Iron Dome or whatever they got, and it's unbelievable. They see the ambulances pulling up these buildings. they got through today. This Scott Ritter, he talks about Russia in this. Russia is the most powerful army in the world. Nobody can match them. Everybody's scared to go toe-to-toe with them. He talks about Israel, not Israel, Levinsky there. The money, this guy, they're just taking. See, you're right. They're all Nazis there, and they're trying to denazify.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, you got to watch this. You'll get a lot out of it. It's all good info. But Russia, he was saying, they got these rockets. You can't detect them. They're the latest technology. Anybody goes against Russia, you're done. Your radars can't pick them up. Nothing. They're coming through no matter what. They're going right to your back door. Okay, and nothing's going to stop them. Nothing. It's the latest technology. States don't have this technology. Nobody's got this technology. I don't know. They must have some. I was reading once that Russia, they captured some aliens, and they have alien technology. Man in, what is it? Black. That movie, Black. The Man in Black, whatever it is.
Men in Black.
But something like that. Yeah, they asked Putin. Putin didn't want to say nothing about it, but they're saying that they have technology from out of this world. That's what they're. I don't know, man.
Well, if that's the case, I
And
sure
they're-
hope it doesn't escalate to a point where they unleash all that firepower on us, because I don't want to die. And I don't want you to die. I don't want anybody here to die.
Well, I was telling PDR, that's where since we're between Russia and the States, I'd go to Russia, man. But I'm too old to get drafted. I don't know what. Everybody's in the military in Russia, man. They're mandatory. Eh? As soon as you hit 16 or 15, you're in the military there. Eh? They got the largest military in the world, and they're all fighters there. Here, nobody wants to fight. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to fight. Hey, Mouth, save your money. Most right. In Toronto here, next year, the water bill's going up $30. Your garbage bin's going up 10 for the small one, 15 for the big one. Any kind of rental tank heaters going up 20%. Your property tax, everything's going up next year except your paychecks. Everything's going up.
That seems to be true. Yeah.
See, I work. I'm self-employed, Rick.
Yeah.
I used to work for the government, hydro, school board, TTC. I used to work for all the big engineering companies. Now I prefer to work myself. Ever since COVID and shit, I just said, I just give a fee. So some jobs I make $50 an hour, some jobs I make $100 an hour, right? Nobody knows. Depends how fast I do it. And that's how you make money today. And you got all the write-offs. Well, you know how it is, Rick. You're probably in the same camp as me. You work for somebody, you make them rich.
Mm-hmm.
You work for yourself. The only difference is I had a good pension at TTC and hydro and everything. I had a good pension. They used to give me all free clothing, free boots, free schooling, free everything, right? Well, I got it all, and now anyways, but that's the only way to get ahead today is you got to go self-employed, and if you can do that, that's how you do it. But if you're in a union, stay there. That's all I can tell you. So.
Yeah, well, if you've got a good gig, hold on to it, because it's
Things
hard
are
to
rough.
replace that. Yeah, it's hard to replace that.
You're not gonna. It's getting. We're in for some hard times coming there. I'm telling you. Everybody's in for a rude awakening. Everything's gonna go up. Do you notice everything's up? Everything's up right now. Everything that I bought 5 years ago is worth more today than what I paid for 5 years ago, Rick. Yeah. What does that tell you? Huh? Everything I bought 5 years ago is worth more today.
Yep.
You know. So
Yeah,
I don't
deficit spending, money printing equals inflation.
Yeah, we got people that don't know what they're doing, but
Yep.
yeah, it's crazy, man, and I don't know where we're heading, but somebody on here tonight sounded depressed. They want to get the hell out of here and not live. What, Johnny? Self-employed. You pay all kinds of taxes. Are you nuts, there, Paul? I pay very little taxes. Paul. I'm going to hook up with Paul soon, and I'm going to explain to him. I pay all kinds of taxes. You pay all kinds of taxes, Paul. You don't understand the write-offs you have. You can write everything off. You know, I'll have to bring my little list with you, all the write-offs you got when you're self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
Paul there, he's a hard worker. Paul there, he drives big trucks. I know what he does. I got to go to Hamilton tomorrow for a job, another job I'm working on, and I don't like traveling, but what are you going to do? Again,
yeah.
When you don't understand, what's this? Meeting John and his lady. It's we had a great laugh. Yeah, that was good. That was a lot of fun. I'd like to do that again. We should. That's fun getting together sometimes. I like getting together. I like having fun. And Johnny wants to meet up with me and have chicken one day. Yeah, Portuguese chicken. He's Portuguese. I like Portuguese. He lives in a Portuguese neighborhood. I like Portuguese chicken. Oh shit! Sorry, Rick.
That's okay, John.
I made a stew tonight,
and
I ate too much, and I passed out on your show. I have to go back to watch, catch up on it. Knocked me out.
Well, I put you to sleep while you were digesting your dinner.
No, it wasn't you. It wasn't you. I ate too much. Oh shit! Sorry about that. I gotta have a drink. My mouth's dry.
Is that
Anyhow.
Mickey you have in your back pocket?
No, I'm drinking water.
Oh,
I don't. You know, I think the last time I drank was with Leo. I swear to God, that was the last time I drank was with Leo. Actually, I went to there's a Chinese place. I found a new Chinese place, and they give you a nice big portions of Chinese food. So I went in there, and me and Darlene and I ordered. Well, we had a couple of beers. The beer's cheap there, $4 a beer, Leo. Before I found the place on near my house here, $4 a beer. They give you a big portion of Chinese. It's not bad. So I go there once in a while. So that's the last time I had a Heineken in there. That's it, one Heineken. And guy walks in with all these coats, stealing them. They were all hot coats. They were gone in a flash. Another time I was in there, guy walks in with all kinds of food, roasts and steaks. And another time you get these crackheads, women, and walking in there, purses and all kinds of. I'm always buying stuff cheap there. You can barter with these people, you know.
So wait a minute. You're telling me people are coming into this? Is it a restaurant with stolen goods and they're selling it?
Yeah.
At their
yeah.
They sell it at the restaurant?
Oh yeah. Guys walking in there with jeans, girls walking in there with all kinds of purses and hats and all kinds of shit. They're all hot. Everything's stolen. And they go in there to sell it, to buy crack.
Right.
When you're a crackhead, you'll do anything for $1, you know. And I bought some cheap stuff in there, but the guy with the coats, he walked in there with like 10 coats. They were gone, and I didn't even get a chance to look at one. I would have. I did that another time. I was not this bar, it was another bar I used to go to. And the guy walked in with like 6, 7 leather jackets. And I bought one for $100. A nice leather jacket for $100. Good, really good quality, thick leather. $100 there, Rick. I bought it right away. It fit like a glove, I still have it. Yeah.
Well,
that's where you get all the. Yep. That's, you get good deals in there, Like me, I don't need nothing. So it's hard to buy something for me for Christmas because I don't need nothing really. Darlene says, "What do you want? What do you want? Come on." I says, "I don't know. I don't need nothing."
well, I don't think anybody should really be buying stolen goods. But that's quite a tale.
Well, what are you gonna do? The guy comes in and he's got 6 roasts for Metro. Always says Metro fish. I don't buy the fish, but the roast I like roast, and they're like $30-$40. He gives them to you for like $10-15. I go, okay, less than half price. Anyway, that's all I really bought. But I bought a purse for Darlene. Actually, the purse was $280. I got it for $50. It was one of the designer purses, really heavy duty leather. It should last her a long time. $50. I had to barter down. She wanted more, but I got her down to $50. She wanted to sell it, man. She had like 3 of them. That's the only thing I've ever bought in there. But they come in there with all kinds of goods like I don't need. If I needed something, sweaters and really designer sweaters and stuff, I don't need it. I got so many sweaters. That's another thing there, Rick. Your sweater, your shirts, I bought one off you, but you don't have. I need 2X or 3X, okay? Because when I get angry, I grow. I turn into the Hulk there, and I need at least a 2X, 3X.
Okay.
You don't have. How come you don't get bigger sizes?
Because most people aren't the size of the Hulk, but I can arrange. I can arrange to get XX, XXX, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a XXX. I'll buy it off you. I'll give you $50 or whatever you want for it.
Okay. When you turn into the Hulk, do you turn green?
Turn red.
Red. The Red Hulk.
You never see me mad. I get mad, but I'm getting more older now, so I don't get as. But I'm a scrapper, man. When I get angry, man, don't mess with me. And but see, I hang out with a lot of tough people, and you always size the person up first. If you think you're gonna get whooped, you just walk away. You know what I mean? You got to size somebody up first, Mm-hmm. The best one was at the Budweiser stage. We went back to our seats. We were sitting right in the seats near the front there, and we went. And there's these two punks in our seats. I says, "Excuse me, you're in our seats." He goes, No, we're not. I go, "Here's my ticket. You're in my seat. Look." No, go find another seat, he says. I grabbed him, and I threw him over about 5 seats right into the goddamn aisleway. Security came, and they grabbed me, like 3 security, and I'm going, he was sitting in my seats. He goes, "Let me see your ticket." I show him my ticket. He goes, "Oh, you're staying?" He's leaving. Those guys are leaving. I said, "Thank you." But I threw him over at least 3 or 4 seats. Darlene goes, "Holy shit, did you see how far you threw that guy?" Another guy at a bar, he was getting really like, and I grabbed him. I threw him over like 4 or 5 chairs. I said, "No, swear to God." Everybody says, "Holy Christ, did you see how far you threw that guy?"
You do turn into the Hulk.
I said, "Don't get me mad." I don't know. No, I don't do that no more now. I lost one tooth already, so I don't want to lose any more. I lost one. I went to the dentist and they put a crown on it. Don't ever get a crown. They don't last. Fuck.
Wow.
Cost you $1,000 for a crown, and 2 years later it falls out. Oh my God.
Well, listen, sir, we're going to move on because Sandy's waiting
Yeah,
in the wings
nice talking
here.
to you. I'm glad you got the calendar there.
Thank you for that,
Okay.
John. I appreciate
Okay.
it. Okay.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Who's on the line? Oh, I thought it was Sandy, but it looks like it's Rosemary.
Yes, it is.
Hello.
Haven't called in for a long time.
Well, welcome back.
But I just thought, have you followed any of the COP 28?
Some of it, yep. Some.
Did you? Well, on the lighter note, it seems to me last night we ended on a note of Pam's burnt balls.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, there's a great clip on, well, I saw it on Fox, but it's all over the internet now. John Kerry was busy giving a speech about coal plants and methane gas, and about 33 seconds into the speech, he broke wind.
Oh.
So
Are you kidding me?
Want to look that. I'm not. I'm definitely not. It was even on Fox. Like I said, but if you just punch in John Kerry, methane gas or something like that, it'll probably come up right away. It came across my Facebook, and then it was on Fox, and it'll probably be on Greg Gutfeld tonight.
I got to bring this up. I did not know this. Well, this is a
Yeah,
treat
it was
and
funny.
a half, isn't it?
Well, and the lady sitting next to him, she put her hand up to her face, so she looked down at his basically.
Avoiding responsibility
Well,
Here we
for
go.
taking away
Okay.
those things that are killing people on a daily
Let's
basis.
bring this up.
And the daily basis. And there can be avoiding responsibility for taking away those things that are killing people on a daily basis. And the daily basis. And there can be avoiding responsibility for taking away those things that are killing people on a daily basis. And the daily basis. And there can
It
be
just, you
avoiding
can't hear it very well,
responsibility
but
for taking away
there's something
those
there.
things that are killing people on a daily basis.
Well, just the look on the woman's face sitting next to him.
Oh my goodness.
And
Let's see if this clip is any better. We'll bring this one up.
Yeah, they had it on
The
Fox
reality
a couple
is that,
times. They had me great laugh about it.
the climate crisis and health away those things that are killing people on a daily basis. And the reality is that
Jesus. Well, that'll be a gift that keeps on giving for a while, I think.
So there you go. Yeah, I'm sure Gutfeld will have something to say about it tonight.
Yeah, he's killing us with
Anyway,
his methane. He is the carbon that needs to be eliminated.
Exactly.
Oh my.
And he's going militant about it.
Oh,
Anyway, that's what I called in, just to give us a laugh for the end of the evening after Pam's burnt balls.
well, thank you. That's fantastic. Thank you very
And
much. for
hello
that.
to all the Maverick family.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing that with us tonight.
No problem.
All right, you have
Good
a great
night.
one. Yeah, and I can't top that.
night.
So we'll wrap it up right there on that high note. Oh, thank you, John Kerry. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Well, folks, that gets us to the end of the show. A reminder again that you can support the program by donating, if you are able to, at freedomreporters.com or maverickdonations.com. Right there, freedomreporters.com. And if you haven't subscribed over on Rumble, please consider doing that. Like, share, subscribe on whatever platform you happen to be on. Thank you, everybody, for spending another evening here with me and the whole Maverick family. A privilege for me to be here with you as well. So I will be back tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow. Catch you on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.